The first story is called, You Have to Join the Queue. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe for more. Also, please leave a like if you enjoyed it. I work security in retail in the main shopping street in the capital city. Most of my job involves watching people and making sure the queue is sensible. This happened last year around Christmas, so the shop was ridiculously busy. The queue was pretty big, but there was enough staff to keep it ticking over. This one guy, short, balding, massively disproportionate ego, waltzes into the shop. He breezes right by the queue and stands in front of the desk. I approach him and muster all of my politeness. "Excuse me, sir, the queue is there." I point him in the right direction. "If you could join it, that would be great." He snaps at me. "No, I am okay. Sir, you need to join the queue if you want to be served." "Whatever, I am fine here." I look over to the manager who has his questioning face on. I give a dismissive wave to let him know I've got this. "Okay then sir, but you won't be served unless you join the queue or the queue goes." He snorts at this and turns away from me. I give a look to the manager and staff and they nod. One of the staff finishes with their customer and I see the person step forward. The staff ignores them and takes the next customer. It happens again, he's ignored again. The manager then tells him to join the queue. He ignores the manager. I think he may have muttered some racist comment, but we didn't hear him. By this time, more people have joined the queue. Over the next hour, the queue stays the same size, with more people joining as others are served. He stands there, absolutely seething as I continue monitoring the store. Every time I look in his direction, he darts his eyes away, but I can feel the burning hatred on the back of my head. About 3 times the amount of people in the initial queue gave come and gone. Eventually, the shop gets empty and the manager deals with him. Whatever request he was looking for is immediately refused by the manager and he stormed out. To this day, this man walks past my shop, slows down, stares in and mutters at me, sometimes shouting in. A couple of times he whistles in, and when I look, he gives me a stare and mutters something. The next story is called, You Want Me to Go Back? My wife and I had just driven 17 hours to our new state. We had to stay in a hotel and wanted to get some food for the night. I saw a Jack in the Box around the corner, so I figured I'd go grab us some food. We had to park the U-Haul truck nearly a mile away from the hotel because it was huge and also because it's California. I didn't want to walk all the way to the truck just to not be able to fit in the drive-thru. So I walked over. It was late and the main storefront was closed, so I walked to the window. I said, "Hey, we just moved here and I have a moving truck. But it won't fit through the drive-thru." The lady says that she can't serve me without a car and that I need to go back and get it. I told her it wouldn't fit. And we go back and forth. I'm even willing to pay double at this point. I try everything imaginable to avoid the ignorance of driving a truck through a drive-thru that won't fit. Still, she says no. I go, "Okay, I'm going to buy 100 tacos when I come back. Is that what you really want?" She didn't care. 30 minutes later, I make it back with the truck. I drive it into the drive-thru, almost knocking down the height limit sign. People behind me were shocked. I explained the ignorance of the Jack in the Box and they understood completely. I squeezed all the way to the ordering speaker and said, "Hey, it's me, I'm back, and I need 100 tacos. She was like, "You were serious?" I backed the truck out back to the parking lot and waited. There was a line backed up pretty far because they were not only making my stuff, but my truck took up nearly every spot in the lot and almost blocking the drive-thru. After about 20 minutes, they came out with my tacos. There were 3 big bags packed with tacos. One of them ripped open right when she walked out and like 20 tacos spilled out. I said I didn't want them anymore. Hell, I didn't even want a refund. She handed me the other 2 bags. I noticed there was a homeless guy out front. I gave him one of the bags of tacos and took the rest home. I wasn't necessarily proud of this moment, but if you've ever driven across the country and just wanted some food before bed, I feel like you might have done the same. The third story is called, Director Pulls Contract on Truck Driver. At my old workplace, we had a truck driver, Jim. Our director had decided to cut down on the amount of manpower in the production unit to try and squeeze some more money out of it. One of the people laid off was a storage worker, and the director then wanted Jim to take over on storage. And then make the big truck more of a whoever needs it, uses it thing, as opposed to having one man who mans it for the majority of the time. Though driving the truck only took about half of Jim's day, and the rest of the time, he did all kinds of other things around the company that needed doing. Now my boss had made a fair fuss about this during the meetings where this was decided. Jim being on that truck was a very good thing for the company, but the director didn't want to listen. They then had a meeting, where Jim, and the 3 people who were the likely candidates for using the truck, were informed of this change. The storage worker had been fired the same day. Nobody was really happy about this, as one of the practical problems is that when you have multiple people using a tool, whether it is a hammer, a power drill or a truck, it becomes a mess to coordinate. But no one was more unhappy than Jim. And he quite openly said that storage worker wasn't his job. To this, the director made one of many big mistakes in this whole streamlining process he was doing. He pulled out the contract of Jim that had a highlighted work in the production bit. So, what kind of malicious compliance does a mad former truck driver get up to? Well, glad you asked. Very simply, he stopped doing anything that wasn't related to production. Here are some examples of minor things Jim stopped doing. First, he stopped buying basic groceries for the production office. Then, he stopped bringing breakfast to the production workers. Usually, Jim drove to a local sandwich maker and picked up breakfast and lunch for most in the production. This meant that now everybody went there on their own, creating massive amounts of delay in every department. And finally, he stopped maintaining order in the yard. Previously, this meant that everything was stored out there, was easy to find, and traffic could go through easily. But the very best thing he stopped was clearing away snow. One of the many things Jim did was, if there was a forecast for snow, he'd set an alarm at 4 in the morning, only to look out the window. And if he needed to clear snow, he'd just go to work and make sure the snow was cleared and the roads salted for when everybody else arrived. He also stopped doing that. In the year this happened, winter hit us pretty suddenly. So there was quite a bit of snow and ice all over the place, including the main office building's parking lot. Now Jim, being the absolute champ that he was, had made sure that the production unit had been cleared. But he left the main office building, on the other side of the road, to fend for itself. And since we production workers come in earlier than the office people, we could stand there and watch. Half their parking spots had so much snow in them that they were unusable. And some of the cars just skipped around on the ice under the snow. It was glorious. 3 cars were lightly damaged, and one took a pretty hefty hit as he clipped the corner of the concrete building. And no less than 9 people fell on the ice, including the director himself. This resulted in about 45 production workers standing inside our machine hall, laughing. The last story is called, Won't Make Me Supervisor? I work at a call center, but we also answer emails. I was hired a couple of months ago because the company was expanding its operations and they were establishing a Tier 2 escalation. I was in the first batch of hires and was told that I would be made supervisor for the next hiring batch, especially since I have previously been a supervisor at my previous job. The next hiring batch comes and I wasn't part of the supervisor training, but the rest of my co-workers hired along with me were. The reason given by the team manager is that I listened to podcasts while working. I was always told by my trainers that it was totally fine to do that if you do your job correctly. The team manager explained that I do a great job and will be part of the next supervisor training sessions. When the next hiring batch came, I have been made responsible by a supervisor to train every new hire, to train them on the system that was overlooked during their training. I did their training as a regular, and at the end of the day, my team manager pulls me aside. He explained that I won't be a supervisor. He mentioned my performance on answering emails on a specific day, which was extremely busy, and that I made a few mistakes. I explained to him that he can't value the performance of a potential team leader on email mistakes on a bad day. Especially since I'm already being a team leader with the new hires. Regardless, I wouldn't be made a supervisor at all. The day after, the team manager decides that he would instead put one of the brand new 5 days old employees as a supervisor, and this got scratching my head. I literally was doing supervisor work just the day before. Regardless, he is made a supervisor on the floor a week later. Then, a few days ago, the new employee and supervisor was the only supervisor on the floor that day. I was the most experienced employee present. An employee needed training on how to process a specific email. The new supervisor didn't know how to do it, and since for the last week or so I have been the point of reference for questions and helping out, he reached out to me on how to proceed. I answered, I can't. I'm not qualified for that. You are the supervisor. You are responsible to train them. Then the email couldn't be processed in time, which made our team manager quite angry. I wonder if I'll get in any trouble for that. We got an update a month later. He is out of the job. The reason given was his performance. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.